Hi, I'm Tim from Tower Systems. I'm one of the account managers here. Today I've got Justin with me. He's one of the other account managers. We're just going to do a run through on our point of sale program for garden centres and landscape supply businesses, just explaining some of the key features, how the system works, to really give you an overview of how it all works. I'll primarily run through it, but Justin's going to jump in if there's anything I miss along the way and just help out with those bits. So I'll kick it off. I'll share my screen.
Cool.
There you go. You should be able to see my screen there. What you have here is essentially your main dashboard of the system. Now, all of these tiles that you see here are customizable, so they can be set per machine. So if this was a back office machine where you want access to, the reordering, the marketing facilities, integration with Xero, maybe running your customer accounts and things like that, you can set your main computer to have that kind of broad functionality. Whereas you might have a couple of computers out, on the shop floor. You may not want the staff out there to have the same sort of access. So you could cut that back, and I've got mine password protected, but I might have the point of sale machine only having access to, say, the point of sale and end of shift. Same goes if it's a business that has, multiple computers for different staff around the business. You can tailor each layout to suit that staff member. So if there's someone that specifically looks after the reordering, they might want shortcuts to the stock manager, ordering by sales, and facilities like that. So just really tailoring it to suit. That flexibility also translates through to the point of sale screen. So you can set your layout on this point of sale screen to suit, and that can be again set per machine. So we have some garden centre customers that also have a landscape yard, so they may have a different layout for each area of the business. So where this is my garden centre layout, where I might have shortcuts to things like potted colour and soil, swapping gas bottles and things like that. In the landscape yard, I can just quickly change this over. I might have a different layout where I have shortcuts to my bulk products instead. So that way they have quick access to what they need to get to. It's going to change it back to my garden centre one.
And if a customer's sort of coming from a system where they might be used to the buttons on the right-hand side or, say, the left-hand side, you can obviously easily change the layout in that way as well.
Yeah, look, really good point. So we'll often, during the install process, tailor this to be as similar to what the customer's coming from, just to make that transition process as easy as possible. And yeah, you're spot on. As you said, these buttons can be down the right side if you prefer. You can have more columns, less columns or rows, and chop and change that. These buttons can then be shortcuts to absolute products. So I can sell potted colour just by hitting the button there. That adds one to the sale, and you can see there it's $2.99. But that one actually gives me an upsell opportunity. If they buy between 5 and 1,000, they drop to $2 each. So if I add a few more to that, you can see there I'm on 4. As soon as I get to that 5th one, it's going to automatically change that price for me. So that can be really handy for anything that's, a bulk purchase. So buy 3 bags of potting mix and it might change to a different price. Even things like garden stakes, where it might be buy between 5 and 10 and the price might drop, and then from 11 to 20 it might drop again. So you can preset all of that sort of stuff. These buttons can also go to multiple levels. So, really common with especially landscape suppliers, you're not necessarily going to be able to scan a ton of soil, for example. So to sell those products, I can simply have my options here. I can go into bulk landscaping. I've got my different types. So it's soil. I've got my different types of soil. It's the budget mix. And then I've got it by several different mechanisms. So I've got it by bag, by quarter of a cubic metre, half a cubic metre, and a full cubic metre. So if I want to sell a cubic metre, I can just, hit the option there. And you can see there it's a full cubic metre. If you sell anything in fractional quantities as well, you can certainly do that. So if I wanted to change that from 1 to 2.5, I could change that, and that is then going to change that, and it's going to calculate the price out accordingly for me. And I should also point out, all of these 4 options here are actually tied into the one product. So when I sell a quarter of a cubic metre, it's actually taking it off of that bulk cubic metre product. So your stock levels are staying accurate regardless of how you sell that product. If I jump back to my main screen, these options on the screen here can also be shortcuts to different areas of the system. So some of our smaller customers might, try and do everything from the one machine at the front. So I can really easily jump from here into my stock processing screen. Even if I'm halfway through a transaction, I could jump in there. I could be putting an invoice through. If this customer comes back and wants to be served again, I can just click back there to finalize the sale. I could have also suspended that sale. So if this customer said, hey, I've just got to go and get some, my wallet out the car or anything, I can simply hit my suspend sale. That'll put it in the background, and then I can bring that sale back up on any machine. When you complete a transaction, really easy. We bridge it in with your FPOS machine. So as soon as I hit the FPOS option there, that would put the $147 onto the screen of my PIN pad. I've got mine set with a surcharge on that one. I'm going to skip that. That would put the $147.50 onto the screen of the PIN pad. Customer taps their card, it prints out the receipt, and the sale's done. I've got mine set to give me a preview of the receipt instead of printing it, just so I can demonstrate it today. With your receipts, we do a bunch of things. So firstly, we put your logo on the top so they're nice and professional, not ours. It'll have the customer's logo. You can see store details there. Exactly what they purchased is on there. And you can also put notes with products on the receipt. So you can see there, when I sold my potted colour, it's actually putting some instructions on, your planting instructions in the body of the receipt there as well. So you can customize all of that. You don't have to do it for every product, but certainly it helps with, keeping your customers in the loop.
And I can see that calls out the price per unit of measure pretty clearly as well. Yeah,
correct. Yeah. So when you are selling something with fractional quantities, it's got your total over there on the right, but it's also showing the price per cubic metre there as well. So really clear. And these receipts can be totally customised. And you can do some extra cool things that I don't actually have set up on this one. You can set it to do images in the body of the receipt. So I could set it anytime someone buys a fruit tree, it might do a little slip in the body of the receipt saying, hey, don't forget, we sell this particular product. Or, you might pitch that you do deliver locally if there's anything that they need. And if I scroll down a little bit further on this receipt, this has been really popular with our garden centre customers. You can set the system to look at how much the customer spent, and it'll do a voucher for whatever makeup you want it to be on the bottom. So I've got mine set as a pretty clean cut 10%. So it's done a voucher for $14.75. The thing that I personally really love about the vouchers is that doesn't have to be tied to a customer. So if I think of just myself as a consumer, I don't want to give any businesses my details these days because I don't want the mass marketing and, everything that comes along with it. So these vouchers, even if I didn't provide any details to the business, I'll still get that voucher on the bottom of my receipt. And $14.75, straight away, I know what that's worth. I know I could go and, grab an extra lime tree or, grab a pair of gloves or whatever it may be. I know what that voucher is going to contribute. You can go one step further. If I did want that voucher linked to customers' details, I could have simply hit my select customer option and it would have tied the transaction to that customer. So then the next time the customer comes in, it'll stop and say, hey, you've got $14.75 as a voucher. Do you want to use that off this next sale? And they have been really popular with our garden centre customers. Anything you want to add on that so far, Justin?
No, you covered it pretty well.
Yeah. So I guess the next part of the point of sale, a lot of our garden centre and landscape suppliers, it's quite common to do invoicing. So invoicing to local landscapers, builders, or whatever it may be. So if if I had a customer come in and let's say they were buying a red bulk landscaping soil, they want a cubic metre of the budget mix, and they turn around and said, yep, that's on the account. I could have selected the customer first if I wanted to, but I'm going to choose them at this point. I'm going to hit select customer. I've got one in my system just called account customer, so I'm going to select them. It's giving me a little warning. It's saying, hey, this account customer has reached their limit. So it's giving me an option if I want to continue with the transaction. I can have that password protected. So I could say account customer has a limit of $2,000. And when they hit that, it'll force this message and also force me to put in a password if I wanted it to. But mine's not, I'm going to let it go through. You can see there that's also changed the price. It went from $55 as the standard unit price down to $48. And this customer then gets a 50-cent discount off of that as well. So what it did, my account customer actually gets the trade price on products, and then they get a very small discount off of the trade price. So you can set those profiles to have either a discount off of the retail, a discount off of the trade price, or just charge them standard trade price, or even charge them a percentage above cost. So we quite often see our garden centre customers offer staff cost plus a certain percentage. So you're at least covering your kind of overheads, to a certain extent. So yeah, you can set different accounts to have different rules as to how they charge. I'm going to add a couple of other products to this. I'm going to add potted colour. Actually, sorry, let's go soils. I'll add a couple of those. When I go to finalise this transaction, so again, it's an account sale. When I finish this one off, it gives me a slightly different screen. So it's asking me the delivery details on this. So I could say this is a simple click and collect, it's curbside pickup, or you can actually have multiple delivery addresses for the one customer. So if this particular customer, I knew they had two jobs happening at once, one on Smith Street and one on High Street, I can set those as being different addresses in the system for that customer. And you can see it changes all the details and also puts any notes on the bottom there. So I've got a note on the High Street job saying drop the goods next to the front gate. I can save that to finalise it. That's going to print off a copy of an A4 or docket style receipt, depending on what I want. I've got mine set to docket style, but we can certainly do that in A4 if you prefer. And it's also going to email a copy of that receipt directly through to the customer if you like as well. So really easy to manage that sort of stuff. Anything you want to add on the account transactions, Justin?
No, not at this stage.
Easy. So another really big part. So that's your kind of over-the-counter invoicing transaction. But that said, a lot of landscape suppliers, especially more so than garden centres, do quite a lot of quoting and invoicing for jobs. Yeah, more so than just an over-the-counter transaction. So there's a separate section of the system for managing that. I can get to it directly from my point of sale. So I could hit quote and invoice management, and that's going to jump me straight in there. And I can manage all of that through this screen. So you can see here, this is where I could come in, I could prepare a quote. So for my account customer, I've got a quote here with some C channel and H channel. I've got 10 sleepers on there. So this is for a retaining wall job a customer's doing. And I can flag 3 things at the top, like when it was created, the estimated delivery date. This one at this stage is still a quote. So I haven't converted this to be an invoice. So, I'm not taking any goods out of stock at this point or anything like that. It's simply for the process of being able to provide a quote to this customer to say, hey, this is what it would cost you. While I've got this quote up here, I can also add or remove any extra stock to it. I can put any notes against the overall quote. So I could put a note on here saying, spoke to customer, looking to proceed, and put any notes against it. I can also add any notes against the products down the bottom here. So if I wanted to put a note against this H channel, and you can see I've got a note already, I can click that and I can see I put a note in here on the 15th of the 9th, flagging that 1800 mil post, I want that cut to 1750. And that when I print off the quote or I print off the invoice is going to show all of those notes on there for me. If I wanted to email a copy of this through to the customer, it's dead easy. I can just hit my print option. Again, it's telling me they've reached their limit. And I could come in here and I could say, all right, well, I want to email a copy. I want to print a copy. When you reach the point of wanting to convert this into an invoice for the customer, I can then tick the invoice option, and I can also do a picking slip for the goods as well. That's going to do all of that in one process. And all of those documents, if I just hit preview on that, all of those documents can actually be customized. So there's my picking slip. You can see there that has all of the information, but it doesn't call out any pricing on it. So that's really good. If it is for a landscaper and you're delivering the goods to the end customer, you can give them that documentation saying, hey, this is what we've delivered, but it's not calling out what price the landscaper may have paid. If I close that one, here's a copy of my invoice. And again, this can be totally customized, but there you can see there's my note saying cut that to $17.50. And yeah, I can print those off. I can email them through to customers. Yeah, it's just giving me a prompt because my email settings aren't in there. And yeah, now you'll see this one is now converted across to being an invoice. So I don't have the option to add or remove any products to it because I've finalized that invoice. But that said, they may come back and say, actually, can you make it 11 sleepers or, you know, whatever it may be. So I can always reverse the status of this. I could make any changes and then I could finalize it again. So really, really thorough on how that works. If ever you need to look them up, you can search, and there's all sorts of triggers in there. If I want to look at just quotes, for example, I could select that, unselect the other ones. I could look at just my quotes, just my invoices, and I can search. And a lot of these screens are customizable as well. So if I looked at that and went, you know what, I really don't use order number, or I'm not using the invoice date, I could come in here and I can turn those fields on and off to simplify this screen. So you've got a lot of flexibility of how that works. And I can also resort this. So if I wanted my customer's surname to be my default sort order, I can drag that back to the start there, and that would then become my default.
And just further to that, you can also customize the info in this screen as well. So if you don't, you've obviously got serial numbers there, but if you don't need to see that, you can choose to show and hide those fields. And that goes for most things within the software as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And we've seen customers use this in a bunch of ways. So you've also got an option down the bottom here to copy a quote. So you can essentially, you know, if you do like I had someone recently that did a lot of swimming pools of all things. And what they did within this screen, they pre-built what is in a standard pool package. So, you know, the swimming pool, all of the plumbing, the pump, the filter, and built all of these goods in here. And anytime they want to quote a new customer on that, they simply copy the quote, change the details of who it's for, and then they can finalize it from there. So that way, if it is something that's somewhat of a template, you're not having to, you know, put that information in every single time. I guess the next part of that is when it comes to the payment side of any invoices for customers. There's a couple of different ways to do it. I can actually do it directly from this quote and invoice management screen. I can hit my customer payments option here, or if I close out of that and jump back to my point of sale, within my point of sale screen, I've also got customer payment here. So if I chose my account customer again, we can preset what these options are. So you'll see there I've got pay amount owing, pay amount, specific invoices, quick payment, or pay until a date. We can actually turn options on and off here. So I've also got lay-bys, but you know, I was demonstrating to someone that didn't offer lay-bys that we could remove that. With a lot of our landscape suppliers and garden centres as well, it's quite often paid by invoice. So what I can do, I can hit pay specific invoices. This will list all of the outstanding invoice this particular customer has, and I can simply flag which ones they want to pay. If they were to simply pay an amount, I could have typed it in there, and that would have paid that off their older invoices, as opposed to selecting which ones they're paying off. So yeah, really easy to manage that side of it. And I guess, you know, onto, you know, a little further with that, you'll often get customers that call up and say, hey, look, I can't find those last 10 invoices you sent me. So you can jump into your customer screen here. So I'm in my customer screen. I can see all their customers' details. I've got their balances across the top. If they turn around and said, I don't have those last 5 invoices, I can hit print email transactions. I could flag which ones they want. So simply select them and either print or email, and that would send them through to them automatically. Anything you want to add to that, Justin?
The only thing I'll add is, obviously you went through the quote and invoice facility doing up a quote, but generally we'll see, people in the point of sale screen, the staff member might not know it's a quote yet. So what happens if they, ring up all those items at the point of sale screen? That can be easily converted into a quote.
Yeah, you're spot on. So if I had these products on my transaction here, and they turned around and said, "Hey, actually, I don't want to buy them today. Can you send me a quote?" I could simply select my customer. So I'll choose my account customer again. They really need to pay something off their account. And from there, I can suspend that sale, and it gives me the option to send it to quote and invoice management. That will then take this and populate it into that quote and invoice management screen we're in before.
Yeah, saves obviously repopulating, say 20 or 30 items.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and some customers will do that. Like they'll be in this screen by default. Someone might call up and say, "Hey, what do you charge for this, this, and this?" And then they can very quickly and easily convert it across to be a quote. Yeah. And you do also have, while I'm at this stage, I do also have an option here to add notes to the transaction and things like that. So if this was even just, a standard transaction, no customer link to it or anything, and I was adding a product to it, this customer seemed to be, concerned. I'll add a Tahitian lime as well. And they were, really questioning me on the planting process for the Tahitian lime. I could hit add note to sale, and I could put any notes in here. So if there was something extra, maybe I wanted to put some of that down in writing for them, I could put that all in here, and it's going to print off on their transaction receipt. So yeah, I've got a lot of flexibility with how that works. I'm just having a quick look through my list of the features I want to run through. The next thing I had was gift and loyalty cards. So really popular. Sorry, I had one here. We've got a designer we work with that will produce a credit card style card. This one's in a little sleeve. And you can see if I take the card out, they'll do the design work on the front. It's a credit card, thick product. On the back is your terms and conditions, a scratch panel and the barcode. You can simply scan this, tell it how much you want to charge it with, and the customer's then on their way with, say, a $50 gift voucher. When they bring that back in, if they only spend $20, the system knows that there's $30 still linked to that particular barcode. And again, really popular. So really professional way to do your gift vouchers. I had a garden centre recently. They're in a fairly new area, and what they did, they simply generated a heap of these, all with I think it was $10 or $20 value. And anytime they saw a new house get their letterbox in a new development area, they'd chuck one straight in their letterbox, because they knew a new property owner that's doing landscaping and establishing gardens. They know giving them a $20 gift voucher is very insignificant once they kick off that process of doing the whole yard. So yeah, and it worked really well for them. Just introduced them to the customer, gave them a reason to come in, and fairly minimal cost to it.
Smart.
Yeah. So yeah, we've got gift and loyalty cards as well. So yeah, I mentioned gift vouchers. They can also be loyalty cards as well. So in your customer screen, I could simply grab a different style of card and scan the barcode in there. That would then become that customer's loyalty or VIP or rewards card, or whatever you want to, brand that as. Another big thing for our garden centre customers is special orders. So you can manage all of your special orders through the system. So, if you came in, Justin, and said, "Hey, I'm after a lime tree," I can do a lookup on a product, either by keyword, or I know my code. I've got one preset, so I'm just going to do a lookup on my Tahitian lime. I can see all of its information. So it's $54.99. I should have 6 on hand. I've got 24 on pending orders and 2 on a sent order. Down the bottom here, I can see every time I've received it and whether the price fluctuates. And again, you can customize what columns are visible here. So if I wanted to be able to see my cost X as well, I can turn those fields on and off to add that information. I can also hit my extra details option, and I'll just resize my screen slightly. And I've got things like my images, I've got care instructions and whatnot all listed there. so I can view all of that information on the screen. If Justin turned around and said, yeah, look, I'm after a couple of those, I can hit order this item. It's going to put it onto my next pending order for Grapevine Nursery. That's who I've got flagged as being the preferred supplier. He wants 2, and I'm going to click in customer number. Justin hasn't been in before, so I'm going to add him in. And so Justin, Randall. Main things I want to grab are mobile number and email. I've got a couple of checkboxes here. I want to allow SMS for this customer. I can continue through. I can set things like whether Justin gets a higher discount voucher category, or if he gets any discount off of transactions. So, and then I can also flag things, tags against customers. So I could say Justin is a novice gardener. I could say he's got fruit trees, and I could give him any tags I want. So I can then use those for marketing purposes. So in 6 months' time, when I've got excess fruit tree nutrients in, I could send a text message or email out to anyone that I've got tagged as being a fruit tree customer. If Justin was really good with the environment as well, I could also do things in here like disable receipt printing for him. So if he said, no, I never want a paper copy, just email it to me, I could disable that. And just when it's a transaction for him, it's going to stop printing those receipts. But getting back to my order, so I'm going to order 2 fruit trees for Justin. Yep, I could charge him a deposit if I want to, but you know what? I'd sell them either way, so I'm not going to worry about that.
I heard he's pretty dodgy. I'd probably take a deposit.
I should have. And yeah, so that's now on order for Justin. In the background, it'll do a couple of cool things. It'll place those 2 fruit trees onto my next open order with that supplier. When I receive them in, it's going to stop and say, hey, don't forget Justin's got those on order. Then when it prints my price labels, and it'll do those on waterproof, weatherproof labels, 2 of those would have Justin's details and how much he still owes. And then in the background, it would automatically email or text Justin saying, hey, Justin, your fruit trees have come in, come and pick them up when you're ready. So really advanced how our special orders work. And there is actually a section in the system. If I jump back to my main screen, I don't have a shortcut there, but you can have a shortcut that jumps you straight in to manage all of your special orders. So if there is a staff member who's, part of their role is to look after all of those, they can jump into that section and yeah, keep an eye on where all of those orders are at. Anything to add, Justin?
Not to the special orders, no. Just on that, I don't know if you can go on the screen, but you can sort by, statuses and so forth of, what's been arrived and.
Yeah, so if I jump in, so I can get to special orders through the menus as well. So I can jump into my special order management. I can see all of the information in here. So here's yours, Tahitian lime. You've ordered 2, haven't received any in, didn't pay a deposit. I can put any notes down the bottom here as well. So I can put that sort of info there if I was to, call you to give you a heads up. And I can look up any of those outstanding orders as well. So if I wanted to look at all of my pending ones, I can simply tick that box, and I've got a lot of pending orders for my Tahitian lime there. So I can, see them all on the screen really easy.
Yeah. Excellent.
And you can do other things. If Justin, if you called up and said, actually, I know I ordered those lime trees, can I change it? Can I make it 1 lemon and 1 lime instead? I could add to that order. I could change the quantity. You can, update that order as need be. So yeah, that's the special order side of things. I touched on the quote and invoice management. Lay-bys is really advanced. If there's any, it's not super popular with our garden centre and landscape suppliers though, but there is functionality for that if you want to use it. And we do also integrate in with both Zip and Hum. So they're your buy now, pay laters. So essentially sort of takes away the need for lay-bys to a certain extent because it allows the customer to take the goods straight away but still pay for them over time. And the good thing from a retailer perspective is it takes you out of that arrangement. It simply lets you move the goods, straight away. Look, moving on to the next topic, and look, again, been massive with our customers over the last couple of years, especially with lockdowns and things like that. And that's our e-commerce integration. So if I add my Tahitian lime to my transaction, I can jump into my product screen for that item. I can see its description. It's in edibles and citrus. It's $54.99 in store or $59.95 online. Across the top here, I can have as many images against any one product as I like. I can also add my extra details. So this top box will print out on the receipts. This bottom box is part of your e-commerce integration. If I wanted to sell my Tahitian lime online, all I need to do is tick that web store item box, and it's then going to push across all of that information to my website. So descriptions, quantities, images, extra text, the web store pricing. I tick that box and that Tahitian lime would be available for purchase on the website. If I change the price in store, it would change the price on the website for me. If I sell out in store, it'll change it to say out of stock on the website as well. So you're not going to have that issue of selling out in store and then not being able to deliver the goods if someone orders it online. And yeah, like I said, that's been huge. We also have an in-house web development team. So if customers want us to build that website for them and bridge it all together, we can certainly take care of the whole kit and caboodle. Looking through my list, that's ultimately what I had on my list that I wanted to run through. Justin, is there anything that you want to add? Any other?
We've done the localized care receipts, obviously the weatherproof labels, obviously the marketing side of things. Oh, what about the repotting facility?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So if I jump back into my point of sale, I'll add my Tahitian lime to the transaction again, and I'll jump into the stock screen for it. So I've got my Tahitian lime. I can hit manufactured goods over here, and this will show me what that product is made up of. So I've put some random products in there, but I could say, to get the 250 ml Tahitian lime, that's actually made up of a 200 ml one. So that's what it was prior. And now I need to use a 250 ml pot, for example. And I could then come in here and I could say, what do I want it to do when I need that product, whether it auto creates it, or if I come in here when I'm repotting and I simply say, yep, okay, I'm making these and I'm making 5 of them. That would then deduct 5 from the 200 mils and increase the 250 mils by 5. And any other components that are allocated to that, so any quantity of soil or the pot or anything else that kind of forms part of that process, you can build into it. And that reminds me, the other thing I didn't speak about was the reordering process. So in the background, there's a couple of different ways to manage reordering. So on the product there, I can either have min-max levels. So I could say on my Tahitian lime, I want to have 15, reorder it when I only have 5 left, and warn the person at point of sale when I've got 7 left, and then it'll start counting down. But that said, a lot of customers these days aren't using the min-max levels. They're more using reorder by sales. So I can jump in, I can go order by sales, I could choose my supplier, and I've got one in here called Supplier X. I want to reorder based on my sales for the last, it could be the last week, the last month, or it could even be based on my sales for last summer if I wanted to do that. And then I can process that. That'll go through, grab my sales for anything I sold from Supplier X over that time. That shows me how many I've sold, my total quantity on hand, and how many I want to order. So, you'd normally have a few more than 3 products on this, but I could either go through and manually put in how many of each of these I want to order, or if I had, 100 products on here, I could simply come in and say, you know what, use the quantity that I've sold, and then I'll go through and manipulate it. So I'm just going to resort this slightly. I'm going to put my quantity sold there. I might look at this and go, 96, you know what, I'm only going to get 50 of those. 74, I know I might need a few more, so I'm going to order 100 more. And I could go through and prepare an order based on that. There's some extra features to this as well. If it is seasonal product, which, let's be honest, a lot of garden centres are very seasonal, I can actually come back to my screen here and I can say show monthly breakdown. That will then change the layout of the next screen I was looking at to show me my sales for each of those products month by month. So if I was reordering, you know, and I wanted to see how many I did normally sell in November, December, January, I could look at that and I could see my my sales for those products over that time. So yeah, really flexible how the reordering process works. When you do create one of those orders, so the next step from there was to create it as an order, it will then be smart enough to take the quantities that you're ordering and link them back into any of the special orders that you had for customers as well. And we've got a separate video that we did on that reordering process as well. So if anyone's interested, just let us know and we'll shoot that one through you as well. Any other questions, Justin, or anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I see you've got the write-off stock. So a couple of things. Obviously, you don't have to demonstrate it, but the write-off stock facility basically allows you to properly, write off stock so you can report on it, appropriately. Obviously, in garden centres, things are dying and whatnot. And the other thing I thought mentioning was the Evergreen Connect. So basically, we can eliminate the need to, enter green life into the system. So we can have Evergreen Connect, push the invoices to the software and basically arrive electronically, saving you, hours of manual labour.
Absolutely, yeah, you're spot on. I totally forgot about that one. But yeah, instead of having to come in and put in each invoice individually, anyone that's working with Evergreen Connect, you can simply hit your EDI option. That will then grab any of those new invoices that are there and allow you to simply check it and say, yep, bring that stock in, and it'll roll through and load that in. Massive, massive time saver. But I don't have an example one in my system to show you, sorry.
No, that's right. That's pretty much everything in my list.
Yeah. Well, look, I guess, the other thing I'd say to anyone watching this is a lot of the installations we're doing these days do involve a certain element of conversion. So as part of our onboarding process, we can help extract product information from current systems as well as their customer database, and we can preload that in the system. So that changeover process just gets a whole lot easier. You don't have to re-enter every single product. And the other thing I'd add is, with the onboarding service, we'll obviously get everything set up and train the customer on how it works. But we do also offer unlimited one-on-one 2-hour training sessions after the initial installation as well. So, in 3 months, 6 months, as customers want to start getting more out of the system, they can either call us. Our help desk is, based out of our Melbourne office. So it's all, all local. They can call us to, talk through any questions, or they can book the free 2-hour sessions and we'll walk through any of that functionality with them.
Yeah. And you spoke about the e-commerce integration. So further to that, we'll connect to Shopify, WooCommerce and Magento websites, and also accounting data as well. So we'll push accounting data to Xero and other platforms as well through a third party.
Yeah, correct. And with the FPOS integration, we're linking with all of the big banks, and we also integrate with Tyro as well. So just let us know which bank you're with. While we go through the initial process, and we'll just check that off the list to make sure we can do it for you.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, that's what I had to run through. By all means, if anyone wants a one-on-one demonstration or they've got extra questions, feel free to reach out to either myself or Justin. We'd be more than happy to help.
Excellent.
All right. Thanks, Justin. I'll talk to you soon.
No worries.